Bud Abbott's tale unveils itself as one of profound sorrow amidst former stardom, where great success was followed by a devastating downfall. Let us be reminded that Bud and Lou parted ways in 1957, and sadly, Lou Costello departed this world on March 3, 1959. The bitter pang of regret and longing for fame he once cherished alongside his partner, Lou Costello, weighed heavily on Abbott's heart. With a head full of silver strands, Bud Abbott gazed desolately through the window of his breakfast room, his Encino, California residence surrounded by neglected brown lawns and grounds. The clock had long struck past noon, yet he still lingered in his slippers, pajamas, and white flannel robe. What was the point of getting dressed? There was no destination beckoning him, no occupation to fulfill. Meanwhile, in another corner of the house, Mrs. Abbott lay confined in her bed, battling the flu. Out in the backyard, near the garage, Bud Jr. and a few friends toiled away, tinkering with the engine of a hot rod. Once a key member of the illustrious Abbott and Costello duo, renowned for their comedic brilliance, Bud now found himself entangled in a web of desolation and hardship. Days of abundance and joy had vanished, leaving behind an atmosphere of destitution and isolation. The fortune that once adorned his life, along with his valuable possessions, had dissipated, compelled by the demand to relinquish $500,000 to the federal government. These substantial payments were the consequence of disallowed expenses on his income taxes over the past few years. The era of opulent living, tailor-made suits, and shirts worth $30 had become but a fading memory. Once a jovial duel, the plump and cheerful partner Lou, who happens to be a decade younger, tragically succumbed to a heart attack the previous year. To compensate for the weighty burden of back taxes, Bud Abbott resorted to selling every possession he owned, even parting with his prized $125,000 ranch nestled in Ojai, California. Despite these sacrifices, he still found himself burdened with a looming debt, estimated to be somewhere between $70,000 and $80,000, with no clear solution in sight. Abbott, who shared his last cinematic venture with his late partner Lou nearly 6 years ago, revealed that Costello had also faced similar tax challenges before his demise. However, Lou was able to settle his obligations and retain some assets, thanks to his ownership of their filmed television series. Bud, along with his wife and children, continues to inhabit their expansive 5-bedroom ranch-style residence. Nevertheless, the property has been listed for sale over the past 2 years, and its asking price was recently reduced to $65,000. Once the property is sold, every penny earned will be surrendered to the government. What was once a sprawling estate spanning 4.5 acres has now been reduced to a mere 1 acre, with additional houses being constructed on the remaining land to aid in Bud's debt repayment. This tale represents the heartbreaking tragedy that befalls former renowned stars who achieve great heights only to lose it all. Bud Abbott and his partner, Costello, ascended the ladder of success, starting from the risque stages of New York's Minsky burlesque and ultimately making their mark in the grand realm of showbiz. As a formidable pair consisting of a straight man and a whimsical, baggy pants comic, they joined forces in 1937 and promptly captured the hearts of audiences. By 1940, they set their sights on Hollywood, where they inked their inaugural film contract with Universal Pictures, experiencing an astonishing and meteoric rise to stardom. Their legendary routine, known as Who's On First, resonated across borders, gaining international acclaim as millions of people around the globe indulged in laughter at their wacky antics. For 9 out of the subsequent 12 years, Abbott and Costello secured a spot among the top 10 highest-earning stars at the nation's box offices. Their income soared to $500,000 annually, courtesy of their endeavors in films, vaudeville, personal appearances, television, and radio. During their pinnacle in 1953, their combined earnings reached a staggering $1,750,000 per year. Bud couldn't help but interject. Sure, but the government had its way too, as we found ourselves trapped in the oppressive 90 to 95% tax bracket. We had an image to maintain, though. Even in those early days, their manager, Eddie Sherman, cautioned them that they would forever remain entrenched in financial turmoil unless they relinquished their lavish homes and embraced a more modest lifestyle. At the age of 64, Bud found himself ensnared in tax predicaments when the government launched a comprehensive 7-year audit of his financial records a couple of years ago. They invalidated this and invalidated that, and now I can't even stay afloat, he lamented, his head barely managing to stay above water. In 1957, Bud Abbott bid farewell to his illustrious partnership with Lou Costello, marking their final joint performance at the esteemed Sahara Hotel in Las Vegas. Their parting came shortly after, instigated by Lou's request, as their once inseparable bond began to unravel due to incessant disputes over financial matters. The world of Hollywood was jolted by a wire service article the previous year, which carried a startling revelation. It claimed that Bud was seeking 50 cents from each of his devoted fans to extricate himself from the clutches of tax troubles. With a heavy heart, Abbott clarified, quote, "That story was far from the truth. It was grossly misinterpreted. The reporter who penned it presented me with a hypothetical question, asking if I would be able to overcome my debts if each fan contributed 50 cents. I merely replied, I suppose so. But then the story twisted, insinuating that I was actively soliciting half a buck from everyone. I have no intention of resorting to begging. I have never asked, 'Brother, can you spare 50 cents?' Abbott expressed with a touch of sadness. However, despite his lack of explicit plea, half-dollar coins began to pour in from various corners of the United States and Canada. Many arrived accompanied by heartfelt letters, extending support and kindness. Yet, when all was said and done, the collective sum of these contributions barely exceeded a few $100s. Abbott's hopes for a triumphant return to show business have been bitterly tarnished ever since the aftermath of Lou's passing. The media had initially speculated that he would join forces with Eddie Foy Jr., a seasoned veteran of vaudeville's renowned Seven Little Foys, to form a new comedy act. However, Abbott has come to realize that in the fickle and forgetful realm of Hollywood, loyalty dwindles swiftly if you no longer occupy center stage. Acidly, he remarked, quote, "They embraced me as long as the liquor flowed abundantly at my home, but these days I haven't seen any of them around." Amidst the shifting tides of companionship, Bud discovered an unwavering pillar of support in his devoted wife, Betty. Their enduring union spans almost 42 years, originating from a serendipitous encounter. On September 17, 1918, after a mere 6 hours of acquaintance, they exchanged vows. Fate had brought them together during a yacht excursion on the tranquil waters of the Potomac, where Abbott gallantly rescued Betty's close friend from the clutches of drowning. Soon after, they ventured to a marriage bureau to secure a wedding license. Today, Bud's concerns revolve around his wife's relentless responsibilities in maintaining their sprawling abode, as the once bustling household staff has diminished. In the past, a team of devoted servants diligently tended to the upkeep of the house and grounds. Now, both of their beloved adopted children reside under their roof, cherishing the warmth and stability of their family unit. In the previous year, a joyous occasion unfolded within the Abbott household as their 18-year-old daughter, Ray Vicky, exchanged vows with Don Wheeler, a former Navy serviceman stationed at the nearby Oxnard Naval Base. Following his discharge, the young couple embarked on a journey to Don's parental abode in Mineola, New York. However, they eventually returned to the comforting embrace of the Abbotts during the winter months. Meanwhile, their 21-year-old son, Bud Jr., dedicated his time to pursuing higher education at Valley Junior College, nestled in the scenic San Fernando Valley. Among the many assets Bud had to part with, one notable loss came in the form of their collective ownership of the 20 feature films they had crafted alongside Lou Costello under the Universal banner. Bud relinquished his rights to these cinematic gems, an investment that had once yielded significant returns. Regrettably, he confessed, quote, "I never laid eyes on the check." Today, he reflects upon the missed opportunity, estimating that these rights could have held a value of $1 million. When confronted about the possibility of voluntarily revealing his business books to journalists to substantiate his claims of an unjust tax audit, Abbott firmly declined. Quote, "I have no desire to delve any deeper into the quagmire I find myself in with the tax authorities," he retorted, mindful of the potential ramifications such an action may bring. When questioned as to why he hadn't pursued legal recourse in the face of perceived injustice, Bud Abbott's response was tinged with financial reality. "I simply cannot afford the exorbitant fees commanded by high-priced attorneys," he confided. Perhaps a settlement could have been reached. Bud promptly replied, "The government would never entertain such a notion. Why? Simply because I am an American. Why would they strike a deal with me when they possess everything I own as collateral?" His tone held a touch of resentment as he highlighted the contrasting treatment afforded to international icon Charlie Chaplin. They managed to settle with him, of course. But why? Because he resided outside the country and wasn't even a citizen. Yet, when they can lay their hands on an American's assets, the very notion of negotiation dissipates into thin air. The consequence of this tumultuous tax predicament is evident as more and more stars find solace in European film projects. In Bud's eyes, the relentless pursuit of taxes transforms individuals into unwitting outlaws, bemoaning, quote, "The tax authorities are turning us all into thieves." However embittered he may be by the tax audit, Bud directs his admiration towards the individual tax collectors representing Uncle Sam. He emphasizes that they have treated him with the utmost respect and cooperation. "They had the power to uproot me from my very own home, but they chose not to," he acknowledged gratefully. The final chapter of Abbott's life unfolded amidst the grips of cancer, leading to his passing at the age of 76. On April 24, 1974, within the comforting walls of his Woodland Hills residence in Los Angeles, his journey came to a serene close. Goodbye and rest in peace, Bud Abbott. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.